It was a quiet night in the countryside. The kind of night where the world felt still, as if holding its breath. The stars shone bright in the sky, and the forest near Daniel's small wooden house seemed to sleep under their silver light. Daniel, a single father, was sitting at his kitchen table. A cup of coffee warmed his hands while his daughter, Lily, slept peacefully in her small room. He loved nights like this. The silence, the safety, and the chance to think. His life had not been easy since his wife passed away, but he had made a promise to his daughter. He would raise her with love, no matter how hard it became. Then the night changed. A sound cut through the silence. It was not thunder, not wind, not anything he had ever heard before. A roar ripped through the sky, shaking the ground beneath his house. The windows rattled, the dishes on the shelves trembled, and the birds outside flew in panic. Daniel stood up fast, his heart pounding. His first thought was Lily. He rushed to her room and opened the door. She was awake, frightened by the noise. He knelt by her bed and whispered, "It is all right, sweetheart. Stay here. Do not come out." Her small eyes were wide. "Daddy, what was that?" "I will find out. Do not worry." He kissed her forehead, then moved quickly to the front door. The night air was sharp and cold when he stepped outside. His breath came out in white clouds. The forest was no longer silent. Smoke drifted above the trees, dark against the starry sky. In the distance there was a glow. Not the soft glow of firewood, but a fierce light, like metal burning. Daniel's instincts told him to stay inside, to protect his daughter and wait. But another part of him, the part that refused to let fear control him, pushed him forward. Someone might be hurt. Something might be burning. He could not ignore it. He grabbed his flashlight and an old hunting rifle, then locked the house behind him. His boots crunched on the dry ground as he made his way toward the forest. The closer he walked, the more he could smell it. A sharp, metallic scent mixed with smoke. It was not like burning wood. It was something stranger. The trees loomed tall around him as he pushed deeper into the forest. Every shadow looked alive. Every rustle made his heart race. Still, he kept going. The glow ahead grew brighter, flickering between the branches. Finally, he reached the clearing. Daniel froze in shock. In the center of the clearing lay a broken machine. It was massive, shaped like nothing built on Earth. Pieces of it sparked with light. Flames hissed and crackled as metal cooled in the night air. The ground around it was torn apart, earth pushed aside as if the thing had slammed down with unstoppable force. It was a ship. Not human. Not from this world. For a moment, Daniel could not move. His mind screamed to run, to get away. Yet his eyes stayed locked on the wreck. A part of him whispered that this was impossible. Another part whispered that this was dangerous. But then, something else caught his attention. A sound. A weak cry. Daniel turned his flashlight and saw her. Lying against the broken frame of the ship was a figure. She was tall, her skin pale with a faint silver glow under the light. Her hair spilled around her like liquid midnight, and her eyes, half open, shimmered faintly even as pain twisted her face. She was no human woman, yet she was alive. Daniel's breath caught in his throat. He had found not just a ship, but someone inside it. She tried to move, but collapsed again, her body trembling. Her lips parted, and strange words slipped out in a language he could not understand. But then, with great effort, she whispered in broken English, "Help, please." The sound of her voice pulled him out of his shock. She was not a monster, not a threat in this moment. She was hurt, and she needed help. Daniel lowered his rifle. His mind raced with fear. If anyone else saw this, they would call the government, the military, maybe worse. She would be taken, studied, locked away. And yet, as he looked at her bleeding form, he knew he could not walk away. Slowly, he stepped forward. His hands trembled as he placed the flashlight on the ground and knelt beside her. Her skin felt cold when he touched her arm. She flinched but did not pull away. Her silver eyes met his, filled with pain, but also with trust. Daniel spoke softly. You are safe now. I will help you. In that moment, his life changed forever. The forest around him no longer felt like home. The night sky above no longer felt like the same sky he had known for years. This was something larger, something beyond him. But what mattered was simple. A woman, not of this world, lay broken before him, and he was the only one who could save her. He slid his arms under her body and lifted her, feeling her weight press against his chest. She gasped in pain, but she did not resist. Daniel held her close, his heart beat fast and unsteady. As he carried her back toward his home, he did not notice the shadows moving far behind him, watching from the edge of the forest. He did not hear the distant hum of another machine, waiting in the sky above. All he knew was that he had made a choice. He would protect her. And nothing would ever be the same again. The door to Daniel's house creaked open as he carried the alien woman inside. His arms trembled, not from her weight, but from the storm racing in his mind. He laid her carefully on the couch, her breast shallow and uneven. The silver glow of her skin shimmered faintly in the dim light of the living room. His daughter Lily stepped out of her room, rubbing her eyes. She froze when she saw the stranger lying there. Her small voice trembled. "Daddy, who is she?" Daniel placed a finger on his lips. "Quiet, Lily. She is hurt. She needs help." Lily's eyes grew wide. She whispered, "She does not look normal." Daniel knelt beside his daughter and looked into her eyes. "Sometimes people look different. But she is alive. And that is what matters right now." The girl nodded, though confusion filled her face. She trusted her father, and that trust gave Daniel strength. He returned to the couch, pulling a blanket over the alien woman. Her breathing hitched, and she tried to speak again. This time, her voice was clearer though weak. "My name. Kayla." Daniel leaned closer. "Kayla. I am Daniel. You are safe here." Her silver eyes flickered open for a brief moment. She studied him, as though measuring his soul. Then her head dropped back against the cushion. Daniel stood and moved quickly to the kitchen. His hands shook as he filled a bowl with water and grabbed a clean cloth. He had no medical training, but he knew enough to stop bleeding and keep her alive. He pressed the cloth against the wound on her shoulder. The blood was not red. It was darker, with a faint shine, as if mixed with light itself. He swallowed hard, forcing his fear aside. This was no dream. This was not madness. This was real. Behind him, Lily whispered, "Daddy, is she going to die?" Daniel glanced back at her. "Not if I can help it." The little girl hugged herself, standing in the doorway. She did not move closer, but she did not run away. Daniel worked through the night. He cleaned the wounds, wrapped them with strips of fabric, and gave her small sips of water when she stirred. Each time she opened her eyes, she looked at him with that strange mix of fear and trust. Each time, he whispered, "You are safe. Rest now." At last, her breathing grew steadier. She slept, her body still weak but no longer fading. Daniel leaned back in the chair beside the couch, exhaustion washing over him. His chest rose and fell with heavy breaths. He had done what he could, but questions hammered at his mind. Who was she? Why had her ship fallen from the sky? Was anyone looking for her? And most of all, had anyone seen him bring her home? The world outside his walls suddenly felt dangerous. If the wrong people discovered her, she would be taken, and perhaps his daughter would be taken too. He could not let that happen. Morning came slowly, with pale sunlight creeping through the curtains. Daniel woke to the sound of movement. Kayla was sitting up, her eyes scanning the room. Her skin looked less pale, her wounds closed faster than he expected. She turned her gaze to him. "You saved me," she said softly. Daniel rubbed his eyes. "You needed help." Kayla tilted her head, studying him. "Why? You did not know me. I am not your kind." Daniel met her gaze. "Because you were alive. That is enough." For a moment, silence filled the room. Kayla blinked slowly, then gave the faintest nod. I owe you? My life belongs to you now. Her words unsettled him. He did not know what they meant in her world, but here, in his small home, he felt the weight of them. Before he could answer, Lily walked in, carrying a glass of milk. She placed it on the table near Kayla and whispered shyly, "You look better." Kayla turned her eyes to the child. Something in her expression softened. She reached out weakly, her fingers trembling, and Lily stepped back, nervous. Daniel placed a hand on his daughter's shoulder. "It is all right. She will not hurt you." Kayla let her hand drop and spoke quietly. "She is your child. You protect her well." Daniel nodded. "She is my whole world." Kayla leaned back, her eyes drifting shut again. "Then I will protect her too." Daniel felt a chill at those words. It was not a promise spoken lightly. It sounded more like an oath carved into stone. The rest of the day passed in uneasy quiet. Daniel kept checking the windows, scanning the forest beyond. He could not shake the feeling that someone, somewhere, was looking for her. And if they came, he would not be ready. That night, while Lily slept, Kayla stirred once more. Her voice was stronger now, though still heavy with exhaustion. "Daniel," she said, "you must listen. My ship was destroyed by enemies. They will not stop. They will come. And when they come, you and your child will be in danger because of me." Daniel's jaw tightened. He thought of the smoke rising in the night sky, of the shadows in the forest. His heart told him she was right. But then she looked at him, her silver eyes shining in the dark. "I can leave if you wish. I can crawl back into the forest. But you saved me. If you send me away, I will not survive." Daniel shook his head. His voice was steady, though fear burned inside him. "No. If danger comes, we will face it here. You are not alone anymore." For the first time, Kayla smiled. It was faint, fragile, but real. And in that moment, Daniel knew he had crossed a line. He had not only saved her. He had accepted her. It was a risk that might cost him everything. But it was a risk he was willing to take. Night returned to the small house, but peace did not. The forest outside was quiet, yet Daniel felt no safety in that silence. He sat in the living room chair, the old rifle resting against his knee, while Kayla slept on the couch. The fire in the hearth burned low, casting shadows across the walls. Lily was asleep in her room, her breathing soft and steady. Daniel had checked on her twice already, and he would check again before morning. She was his anchor. Every choice he made had to protect her first. And yet, here in his home, lay the most dangerous secret of his life. Kayla stirred. Her silver eyes opened, glowing faintly in the firelight. She pushed herself up with slow movements, her body still weak but no longer broken. She looked at Daniel, studying him as though she could see more than his face. "You do not sleep," she said softly. Daniel's hand tightened on the rifle. "Someone has to keep watch. You fear my enemies. I would be a fool not to." Kayla tilted her head, and for a moment, silence stretched between them. Then she whispered, "They will come. They never leave a survivor." Her words sank into Daniel like stones dropped in deep water. He looked at her, waiting for more. She met his gaze, and for the first time, her eyes seemed vulnerable. "My people," she said slowly, "we're not here to conquer. We came to explore, to learn. But there are others. Hunters. They live to chase, to destroy. They saw us as prey. My ship was attacked. I was the only one who escaped." Daniel swallowed hard. He thought of the glow in the sky, the explosion, the smoke. He thought of the shadows he had felt watching him in the forest. He wanted to believe it was only his imagination. But her voice carried the weight of truth. "You mean," he asked carefully, "they could be out there right now?" Kayla nodded. "Yes. And when they find me, they will burn everything around me. They will not care who suffers. That is why you should have left me in the forest." Daniel leaned forward, his voice firm. "I am not that kind of man. I do not walk away from someone who needs help." Her lips curved slightly, almost into a smile, but it was touched with sadness. Then you have bound your fate to mine. The fire popped, filling the silence. Daniel looked into the flames, wondering how his life had changed so quickly. Yesterday he was only a father, worried about bills, meals, and school. Now he was guarding a wounded alien woman from hunters that crossed the stars. Kayla shifted, pulling the blanket tighter around herself. She whispered, "You care for your child more than your own life. I see it. It is rare, even among my people. You are strong, not only in body but in heart." Daniel looked at her, uneasy with the intensity in her voice. "Any father would do the same." "No," she said, her eyes locking on his. "Not any father. Only you." The words hung in the air, heavy and strange. Daniel wanted to deny them, but something in her tone made him pause. He saw no lies in her gaze, only honesty. And it unsettled him more than any threat outside the house. Later, as the fire died down, Kayla asked quietly, "Will you teach me about this world?" "Your world." Daniel hesitated, then nodded. "If you stay hidden? If no one else knows you are here?" Her eyes softened. "I will stay hidden. I trust you." That single word, trust, struck him deep. He was not sure he trusted himself anymore. But she had chosen to give him her faith, and he could not let it break. The night grew colder. Daniel added wood to the fire, and when he turned, he saw Kayla no longer on the couch. His heart jolted until he noticed her by the window. She stood there, thin and graceful, the blanket draped around her shoulders. Her silver skin glowed faintly in the starlight. "What are you doing?" he asked sharply. She turned her head. "Looking at the sky. Wondering if any of my people survived." Daniel walked closer, lowering his voice. "You should not stand there. If anyone sees you—" She interrupted him gently. "Do you think your people are ready to see me?" He shook his head. "No. They are not ready. They would fear you. And fear makes people do terrible things." Kayla looked out the window again, her expression unreadable. "Then I will hide. For you. For the child." Daniel felt a strange mix of relief and guilt. He closed the curtains, shutting out the stars. "Come. Rest. Tomorrow we will figure out what to do." She turned to him and stepped closer, her eyes never leaving his. "You saved me when you had no reason. You give me shelter when it puts you in danger. In my world, such acts are sacred. I will not forget." Daniel held her gaze, but his voice stayed calm. "Then promise me one thing. If danger comes, you will protect Lily first." Kayla reached out, her hand brushing lightly against his arm. Her touch was cool, almost electric. "I swear it. Your daughter will be my daughter. No harm will touch her." The vow felt final, like a seal placed on something neither of them could undo. Daniel nodded slowly, then stepped back. As the night stretched on, he remained awake, listening to the crackle of the fire, and the slow breathing of the alien woman now bound to his life. He did not know what tomorrow would bring. But deep inside, he knew one truth. The secret in his home was no longer just a burden. It was the beginning of something far greater, something that would test every part of him. And the hunters in the dark would not wait forever. The days passed slowly, yet every moment felt heavy with change. Daniel's small wooden house no longer felt like the same place it once was. It was still warm with the scent of coffee in the morning and still filled with Lily's laughter during the day, but something had shifted. Kayla was part of their world now. She sat at the table during meals, learning how to hold a fork, tasting bread and milk for the first time. She listened to Lily's stories about school and asked simple questions in her soft, melodic voice. At first, Lily was shy, but soon she began to giggle at Kayla's curious expressions and the way she sometimes misused words. Daniel watched these small moments with unease. He wanted to believe it was safe, but his heart warned him it was not. Every smile Kayla gave his daughter, every time she looked at him with her glowing silver eyes, he felt the line between their worlds fading. At night, the tension grew sharper. Kayla no longer stayed only on the couch. She began moving closer. The first night she rested on the rug near the fire. The second night she sat in the chair opposite his. The third night she placed herself on the edge of his bed while he tried to sleep. Daniel woke with a start, his heart pounding. She sat there in the dark, her gaze fixed on him. "Kayla," he whispered. "What are you doing?" Her voice was steady, almost calm. "I feel your fear. I feel your strength. I want to be near you." He sat up, running a hand through his hair. "You cannot just sit here. This is not how things are done." She tilted her head, her silver hair catching the faint light of the moon through the curtain. "In my world, when one saves another's life, they become bound. We share breath. We share space. We share rest." Daniel shook his head. "That may be your way. But here, things are different. I have a daughter. I have a life to protect." Her eyes softened, and she moved closer. "And I will protect it too. But I must stay by your side. My spirit tells me so." His breath caught as he realized how near she was. He could see the faint glow of her skin, feel the quiet warmth radiating from her. Every part of him wanted to pull back, but another part, buried deep, longed to stay in that moment. He whispered, almost against his will, "You do not understand what you are asking." Her hand lifted and brushed his arm. The touch was light, but it sent a current through him that left his chest tight. "Then teach me," she said. For a long moment, the room was silent except for the soft ticking of the clock on the wall. Daniel closed his eyes, forcing himself to breathe. Finally, he whispered, "Go back to the couch. Please." Kayla studied him for another moment, then nodded. She rose and returned to the living room, her steps silent. Yet Daniel knew something had changed. A door had opened that he could not close again. The next day, Kayla acted as if nothing had happened. She helped Lily with her reading, asked Daniel about his work, and even tried to sweep the floor with clumsy effort. But whenever her eyes met his, there was something unspoken between them. That evening, Daniel stepped outside to chop firewood. The cool air cleared his head, but not his heart. He struck the wood again and again, each swing sharper than the last. He thought about his wife, about the promise he made to keep Lily safe. And now, this woman, this alien, stood inside his home, stirring feelings he had buried long ago. When he returned inside, Kayla was waiting. She stood by the fire, her silver eyes reflecting the flames. "You are angry," she said softly. Daniel set the axe down. "I am not angry. I am lost." She stepped closer. "You feel desire. You feel fear. Both can live in the same heart." He froze. Her words struck too close. Before he could speak, Lily ran into the room, carrying a blanket. "Daddy, can Kayla stay in my room tonight? I want her to tell me stories." Daniel looked at Kayla, then back at his daughter. "If Kayla agrees." Kayla bent down to Lily's height, her voice tender. "I will stay with you. I will tell you a story from the stars." Lily beamed and pulled her toward the bedroom. Daniel watched them disappear down the hall, his chest tightening. That night, with Lily asleep, Kayla returned. She slipped into Daniel's room without sound. He opened his eyes and found her standing there, her presence filling the air like a storm before rain. "I told her stories," she whispered. "She dreams now. She trusts me. Do you?" Daniel's voice was rough. "I do not know." She moved closer, her silver gaze never leaving his. "Then let me prove it. Share this bed with me, as my people do. Not in fear. Not in shame. In truth." His heart thundered. He wanted to send her away, to protect the fragile order of his life. But another part of him, a part he thought had died with his wife, stirred awake. Kayla sat beside him, her voice soft as night. "You saved me. Let me give you something in return. Let me belong here." Daniel closed his eyes, torn between duty and desire. He had chosen to save her life. Now he faced a choice that would bind him even deeper. And in the silence of that night, the tension between them became something more powerful than either could deny. Morning light spilled through the curtains, warming the small wooden house. The smell of coffee filled the kitchen, mixing with the faint crackle of the fire. Daniel stood at the stove, his hands steady though his thoughts were not. Every night with Kayla added more weight to his heart. Every choice seemed harder than the last. Behind him, Lily's laughter rang out. Kayla sat at the table with her, listening as the child spoke about her favorite book. Kayla's silver eyes glowed softly, and for the first time Daniel noticed how natural she looked sitting there. Too natural. As if she already belonged. He set the cups on the table. "Breakfast is ready." Lily clapped her hands and reached for toast. Kayla accepted the plate with quiet grace. She studied the food as if it were sacred, then ate with calm precision. When she finished, she placed her hands on the table and turned to Daniel. Her voice was clear, stronger than before. "Daniel, I must speak." He felt his chest tighten. The way she said his name always carried weight. "Go on." Kayla looked at Lily, then back at him. "You saved me. You gave me shelter. In my world, that means more than kindness. It means a bond. You are not only protector. You are chosen." Daniel frowned, his voice low. "Chosen for what?" Kayla's silver gaze locked onto his. "Marriage." The word hit him like a thunderclap. His hands froze on the edge of the table. Lily nearly dropped her glass of milk. Then she burst into laughter, her young voice echoing in the room. "You want to marry my dad?" she giggled. Kayla nodded calmly, as if it were the most natural request. "Yes. He is mine now." Daniel stood slowly, his chair scraping against the floor. "Kayla, you cannot just say that. This is not how things work here." Kayla tilted her head, unshaken. "How do they work? You cannot decide this for me. Or for Lily. Marriage is a choice. It is about love, not debt." Her eyes softened, but her voice remained steady. "Love is in action, not in words. You saved me when all others would have left me. You feed me. You protect me. You accept me under your roof. In my people's way, that is love." Lily giggled again, kicking her legs under the table. "Daddy, she is serious." Daniel rubbed his forehead, frustration rising. "Kayla, I barely know you. We come from different worlds. Different lives. This cannot just happen because you say so." Kayla rose to her feet. Her presence filled the room, tall and striking, her silver skin gleaming in the morning light. "Then let me prove myself. Let me show you I belong here. I will guard your child as if she were my own. I will stand beside you when danger comes. I will not leave. Not now. Not ever." Her words carried no hesitation, no doubt. They struck Daniel harder than any blade. For a long moment, silence stretched. Lily's laughter faded, and she looked between them with wide, curious eyes. Daniel finally spoke, his voice rough. "You do not understand what you are asking. Marriage is not just protection. It is not just staying. It is about trust, about choosing to share a life together." Kayla stepped closer. "And I choose it. I choose you." The room seemed smaller, the air heavier. Daniel felt trapped between his fear and the intensity in her gaze. He wanted to reject her claim, to keep the walls around his heart strong. But part of him longed for the weight of her words. Longed for the belonging she offered. Lily broke the silence with a mischievous grin. "Daddy, you should say yes." Daniel turned to his daughter, stunned. "Lily." She shrugged, smiling brightly. "She is nice. She makes me laugh. And she promised to protect me. I like her." Kayla's eyes warmed at Lily's words. She placed a hand on the girl's shoulder with surprising tenderness. "I will keep that promise until my last breath." Daniel felt his resolve crumble. But before he could speak, a sound cut through the air. A distant hum, low and sharp, vibrating through the floorboards. Kayla stiffened. Her silver eyes narrowed. "They are searching." Daniel grabbed his rifle, his pulse quickening. "Who?" Kayla looked at him with deadly seriousness. The hunters. My enemies. They are near. The air in the room shifted. Lily's smile faded, fear replacing her laughter. Daniel pulled her close, his mind racing. Kayla stepped forward, her voice steady as stone. Now you see. You are not only a father. You are part of something greater. If we stand together, we survive. If not, they will take everything. Her demand for marriage no longer sounded like a strange custom. It sounded like a shield, a vow, a line drawn in fire. Daniel looked at her, then at his daughter clinging to him. The decision he had tried to avoid pressed down harder than ever. He had saved Kayla once. Now, saving her might mean binding his life to hers forever. And outside, in the dark forest, the enemy was already closing in. The hum outside grew louder, filling the small wooden house with an unnatural vibration. The windows shook. The lights flickered. Lily clung to Daniel's arm, her young face pale with fear. Kayla rose from her chair in one swift motion. Her silver eyes glowed bright, sharper than he had ever seen them. They are here, she whispered. Daniel moved quickly, pulling Lily close. His mind screamed at him to run, but there was nowhere to go. The forest outside was dark, and whatever hunted Kayla was stronger, faster, and ruthless. He grabbed his rifle, his hands steady though his chest felt tight. Kayla stepped toward the door, her posture tall and proud despite the wounds she still carried. They followed my trail. They know I survived. They will not leave without blood. Daniel's voice was firm. Then they will find me standing between them and my family. Kayla turned her gaze to him, her expression unreadable. You are brave. But bravery alone may not be enough. He looked down at Lily, holding her small hand in his. Then help me make it enough. The hum grew sharper. A bright light cut through the trees outside, sweeping across the yard. Shadows moved between the trunks, tall and lean figures with glowing eyes. The air itself seemed to shiver with their presence. Daniel's instincts screamed danger. Every nerve in his body told him to hide. Yet he stood his ground. He had faced storms before. He had faced death when his wife slipped away from his life. He had raised a child alone. And now, he would face this. Kayla's voice lowered to a fierce growl. They are hunters. They feel no mercy. But they do fear one thing, resistance. Daniel nodded, his jaw set. Then they will see it tonight. The first shadow stepped into the clearing. It was tall, its body thin but powerful, its skin marked with lines that pulsed like burning coal. Its eyes glowed red. Two more followed, their steps silent, their movements fluid. Lily gasped, burying her face against Daniel's chest. He whispered, Do not be afraid, sweetheart. Stay behind me. Kayla moved forward, her body tense, her voice like steel. Leave this place. Your prey is no longer yours. One of the hunters hissed, its voice carrying across the night. You should have died with your ship. No one escapes us. Daniel lifted his rifle. His voice was calm but heavy with defiance. She is under my roof. If you want her, you go through me first. The hunter laughed, a sound sharp and cruel. A human? You would protect her? Daniel's finger tightened on the trigger. I already am. The shot rang out, splitting the night. The bullet struck the nearest hunter in the chest, knocking it back. For a moment, silence followed. Then the creature rose again, wounded but alive, its eyes blazing with rage. Kayla's voice cut through the chaos. Their bodies are strong. Aim for the head. Daniel reloaded with steady hands, even as his heart pounded like a drum. The hunters moved closer, their steps quick and deadly. Kayla stepped in front of him, her hands lifting. Energy shimmered around her palms, a glow like liquid silver. She unleashed it with a cry, a wave of light that struck the hunters. Two fell back, stunned, but one slipped through, rushing toward the house. Daniel fired again, his shot hitting its head. The creature fell hard, its body collapsing in the dirt. Lily screamed, but Kayla's arms stretched back, shielding her. Stay with me, child. The remaining hunters regrouped, circling with snarls and growls. Daniel's breath came fast, but his stance did not falter. He was one man with a rifle, yet his will was unshakable. Kayla looked at him with fierce pride. You fight as one of us. You fight as a warrior. The words lit something inside him. He was not just a father tonight. He was more. He was a protector, a shield between light and darkness. The hunters lunged again. Daniel fired, each shot loud and final. Kayla struck with her glowing hands, energy tearing through the night. Together, they stood unyielding. When the last hunter fell, silence returned to the forest. Smoke drifted in the cold air. The hum faded, replaced by the crackle of firewood inside the house. Daniel lowered his rifle, his body trembling now that the fight was done. He looked at Lily, who clung to him with wide, teary eyes. He kissed her forehead. It is over. You are safe. Kayla stepped beside him, her breath heavy, her silver glow dimming with exhaustion. Yet her eyes burned with fierce light. You fought with me. You chose to stand when you could have run. They will fear that. Daniel looked at her, still trying to catch his breath. I did not stand for them. I stood for my family. Kayla's gaze softened. She placed her hand gently over his. Then let me be part of it. I swear to you, Daniel. As long as I live, you will never fight alone again. The vow hung in the air, more binding than any law or ceremony. Daniel felt the truth in her words, and deep inside, a new bond formed, one not of fear, but of trust, forged in fire and blood. And though the hunters were gone, he knew the war was not finished. This was only the beginning. The night after the battle was quiet. Too quiet. The forest stood still, holding its breath, as if even the trees knew blood had been spilled. Smoke from the fallen hunters lingered in the air, but the danger had passed. For now. Inside the wooden house, Daniel sat by the fire, his rifle leaning against the wall. Lily rested in his lap, her small hands clutching his shirt even in sleep. She had cried until exhaustion claimed her, and Daniel had held her through every tear. Across from them, Kayla sat with her back straight, her silver skin marked with faint burns from the fight. She looked tired, yet her eyes carried strength. She had fought as if this house was her own. She had stood as if Lily was her child, as if Daniel was already hers. Daniel met her gaze. For the first time, there was no fear in his heart. Only questions. You said they would not stop, he whispered. Kayla nodded slowly. They will come again. They will send more. But tonight we showed them something they did not expect. And what is that? Her lips curved faintly. That humanity is not prey. Daniel's chest tightened. He looked down at Lily's peaceful face. The thought of more enemies, more blood, twisted him with dread. Yet he knew she was right. He had stood his ground, and in doing so, he had shown strength the hunters could not break. Kayla leaned closer, her voice low. I told you once that by my people's law you are mine. Tonight you proved why. You fight not for glory, not for conquest, but for love. That is why I must stay. That is why I demand you bind with me. Daniel looked at her sharply. Marriage. Yes, she said firmly. Not just for me. For you. For the child. For the family we already are. His pulse quickened. Kayla, I cannot make a choice like that so quickly. My wife. His voice caught. The memory still hurt like an open wound. Kayla's gaze softened. She reached out and touched his hand gently. I do not ask you to forget her. She lives in you, in your daughter, in the love you carry still. But I can stand beside that love, not against it. I can build something new with you. Her words struck deep. Daniel closed his eyes, feeling the truth in them. He had been alone for so long, hiding behind his grief, raising his child with nothing but sheer will. Yet here, in his home, stood someone who offered not just comfort, but strength. Someone who had already risked her life for them. From his lap, Lily stirred, her sleepy voice breaking the silence. Daddy. He looked down. Yes, sweetheart. Her eyes blinked open, heavy with dreams. Did we win? He smiled softly. Yes. We won. She yawned, then looked at Kayla with drowsy wonder. Can she stay with us forever? Kayla's eyes glistened, though her face stayed calm. Daniel hesitated, his throat tight. He looked at Kayla, then at his daughter, and finally he spoke. If she wishes it. And if you truly want it too. Lily's smile was faint but pure. I do. She curled back against his chest and drifted into sleep once more. Kayla rose and stepped closer. She knelt beside him, her silver glow reflecting the firelight. Then it is decided. I will not leave. Not now. Not ever. Daniel met her eyes. They were not only alien anymore. They were filled with warmth, fierce and real. Slowly he nodded. Then we face the future together. Kayla leaned forward, her forehead resting lightly against his. Her voice was soft, almost a whisper. Then you are mine and I am yours. Not only by law. By choice. For the first time in years, Daniel felt his chest lighten. The weight of grief was still there, but something new had taken root. Hope. Outside, the stars stretched across the sky, endless and bright. Somewhere among them, enemies still hunted. But in this small wooden house, 3 lives had joined into one. Daniel tightened his arms around his daughter, while Kayla placed her hand gently over his. A family forged not by blood, but by choice, by fire, and by love. And in that moment, Daniel knew something that no alien, no hunter, no power in the universe could take away. Humanity was not weak. Humanity was not prey. Humanity was the force that turned strangers into family, and survival into love. And under the stars, a single father and a fallen alien woman began a story that was only just beginning.